Hello and welcome back to another episode of Strong Collectors Comics. My name is Jordan, and I'm joined today, as ever, by my plucky co-host Dakota. And we are going to be doing a bit of an update on some of our readings, which lately has been the Immortal Hulk. Now, we're a few years behind on this, folks. This came out in 2018, but we are catching up and just getting into this. So, on Unlimited, Dakota and I both have that, and we were thinking about some different series to pick. And I had heard quite a bit about the Immortal Hulk over the past few years. I remember when it was coming out. I think it pulled in Dakota with those beautiful Alex Ross covers for
Yep.
every issue. And I'd heard different things about it, always heard good things with Al Ewing's writing on this, and I know he's been doing a lot of other stuff since then. But we have now read, I believe, the first two arcs, so the first
hmm
10 issues, and doing a little bit of a sharing of some of our thoughts on that as we've been reading and some of the big takeaways we've been having. So, Dakota, I know you don't read like a ton of just Hulk solo things. Well, I guess not currently. I
Right.
know before, if you were to think of like the great Hulk storylines, what are the ones that you'd be stacking this one up against?
I mean, the best Hulk storyline is probably Planet Hulk into Civil or into Planet Hulk
Well,
into World War Hulk.
it was
Um,
great, yeah. Hmm.
I'm always a sucker for the beginning of Red Hulk. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe that's just kind of I'm looking rose-colored glasses in my childhood is one of the first comics I was really excited to pick up as an ongoing
Right.
series. But
Hmm.
those are the two/three if you count World War Hulk and Planet Hulk as two
Hmm.
different things. But um, those are kind of the big ones to me. This one, I think, I would say this is in the running as for sure a top five. I mean, as
Hmm.
far as like a solo Hulk, like Hulk is part of other stories as well. But um,
Hmm.
I think this one does a good job of kind of going back to maybe what Hulk was originally as kind of that like Frankenstein's monster of
Hmm.
you get a little bit more from Hulk versus just like Hulk smash
Right.
angry type of Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say for me, I mean, definitely Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, I think is a great arc for Hulk there. I
Hmm
think, yeah, those Ed McGuinness, the Jeff Loeb, Red Hulk stuff was really cool. Um, you got like the Future Imperfect stuff with Peter David. I know he wrote, he had Hulk for like 120 issues back in the day, which those were pretty iconic and doing
hmm
some Hulk stuff. You got the Smart Hulk, all those things in there. And I've read like pieces of those at different times. I definitely haven't read all of them. But yeah, I think the Hulk is kind of a tough character, I think, to do solo. I think that's interesting in like the MCU. Even if they could have, they haven't really done any solo Hulk things just because of what you said. Usually it's like Bruce Banner's the character and then he turns into the Hulk and destroys stuff and then he kind of goes back, right? So I think what I liked, I agree with you about this one because I'd seen like a couple panels from it and this premise of doing it in a more like supernatural kind of darker vein. And that is true to the original Hulk comics where when it was sunset, he would turn into the Hulk, right? And that's kind of the running theme in this is, I'm me during the day, but the night is his time. Like that's when the Hulk, emerges, which I think is a cool dynamic. And just kind of fleshing out more than just there might be more to the Hulk's story than we know as far as like, okay, Gamma Bomb, he turns into this rage monster, but really exploring like how that connects maybe to a bigger world or a bigger mythology with some bigger implications for the Hulk kind of having in this series his own like agenda
hmm
in a way, like his own things he's working towards or trying to uncover. Um, and I think a lot less of the whole like I hate the Hulk. I don't want. I mean, there is some of that, but they seem to
Right.
almost be a little more like in tandem, or like have a closer understanding between the Bruce Banner Hulk stuff,
Right.
which I actually like to see because I think it does get a little old. The whole like I can't get rid of the Hulk. I hate the Hulk. I'm trying to cure myself.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. So I guess so far in the story, Dakota, what what are the like things that you've been seeing that you've either liked or not liked? What's worked for you?
I kind of like I think the timing of us reading it was pretty fun too. Like we tried to read it like starting around Halloween time.
Mm-hmm.
So like you kind of said, you get that like more supernatural element of Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think there's kind of that like element of I don't know, maybe not mystery. I mean, there's kind of mystery where it's like Hulk doesn't necessarily know why he's being pulled in a direction to go somewhere. But
Hmm.
then you're also kind of following more the human side of like the news reporters trying to like kind of predict where he's going and what's happening.
Hmm.
You also get like similar to like I think most Hulk stories, kind of like you said, it's kind of hard to do a Hulk solo story. You're getting a
Hmm.
lot of like tie-ins with either Sasquatch or the Avengers coming
Hmm.
in, um, different characters like that. So it's you're not only following Hulk, but then there is still quite a few Hulk solo stories where he's just kind of fighting the Gamma monster or whatever's going on.
Hmm.
So I think it's a good balance of keeping other characters in there to kind of like
Right.
move you along, to like keep your interest, but
Yeah.
then there's enough Hulk to make it feel still like I'm only reading a Hulk story.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's done a really good job of using kind of lesser characters, like you have the Sasquatch and like fleshing out his connection to the Gamma stuff, but then having even like Absorbing Man showing up. So kind of taking these,
Mm-hmm.
or even in that latest one, I didn't recognize that was Bushwhacker till a little
Yeah.
bit into it, I think, with the like gun arms and stuff. So taking characters that are a little underutilized or maybe not used as much and like bringing elevating those characters. I always love when a writer can do that. Like, hey, this guy maybe hasn't done this in a while. How do I kind of
Mm-hmm.
bring him in and make him a cooler part of the story? So yeah, I definitely like that piece of it. And I think, yeah, Hulk almost having these kind of intuitions that are
Mm-hmm.
you're not quite sure, but he's kind of pulled, yeah, towards certain things. And you get what I think is cool about Hulk, the classic like going from place to place, kind of the drifter thing going on. But
Mm-hmm.
also they what I like about each issue, like you always kind of have like even like the titles of the like issue. There's always each issue almost has a title, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's thematically part of something. So like even if you're building a piece of the story, like I think they do a great job with like the layouts and the structure, and it feels very like episodic in a sense of almost
Mm-hmm.
each issue is kind of its own complete little story, even
Yeah.
if it's building towards a bigger story, right? Because I think that's what can feel kind of lame about comics sometimes if it's like you just gave me a portion of something and like you kind of can get tired of that after a while.
It feels like they're trying to sell you the next book of like oh you got to stick with it because
Right.
that's kind of how I was getting with some of the Spawn stuff for a little while, like in between
Hmm.
like issue 300 and 350. Like it felt like there was a lull of like, oh, just keep reading, like we'll eventually get to
Right.
something good. Where like the Hulk, this at least so far is feeling very like everything makes sense, it's moving forward at like a good pace, and it's like there's that mystery but you're solving enough of the
Hmm.
mystery to not be like, oh I gotta keep reading and buying these books to get to finally the
Hmm.
big payoff at the end. Like there's enough payoff as we go through that, like you said,
Yeah.
each one feels complete enough that like I'm satisfied as I read an issue.
Yeah, like this one was kind of just biding my time until I get to
Mm-hmm.
what's next. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. And I think that's cool. I think really just getting into like, and it's in the title, the Immortal Hulk, right? Like just kind
Mm-hmm.
of the like the unkillableness of the
Right.
Hulk in a way, like
Yeah.
him getting like chopped into a million pieces and
Yep.
like he can still reform and come back to life. And uh yeah, I think that stuff is pretty cool. Almost those
Mm-hmm.
more horrific elements, like even when he was fighting the Absorbing Man, it's so crazy. He's
Right.
like split in half. He's like a spine running at him. And it's like
Yeah.
you don't see those kind of visuals usually in like a Marvel book,
Mm-hmm.
like for general audience or
True.
whatever that might be. Um, I like them kind of weaving in his dad. I always think that's an interesting piece of it. Um, and then of course, as we're moving along, kind of this greater mystery of what does it mean, all these gamma incidents, and like there's almost more like the gamma did something, but it's also related to almost you're getting this like extra dimensional
Right.
something going on. And I think we're
Yeah.
still getting pieces of that as we move along.
Mm-hmm.
6 years later, but for us, it's brand new. Um, so yeah, I've really been enjoying it, and I see why a lot of people really liked it, and I think this would be cool. I don't know exactly how it would work, but if you ever were to do like a Hulk, because there was a couple years ago talk of a Hulk TV show, which I
Mm-hmm.
think this kind of a theme or format would actually work well,
Yeah.
just because like he's fighting and stuff, but it's not like Hulk destroys the city all the time. You know, it's like
Hmm.
you get Hulk, but you have enough, like you said, other stuff going on that there's these cast of characters that kind
Hmm.
of support that. But I think it is a really fresh take and a way to make the Hulk, to me, more compelling than just, okay, yeah, Bruce Banner gets mad and then he's kind of. I never really love like the dumb Hulk type thing. You know, he says like three words at a
Right.
time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty cool, and that's why I think we like Planet Hulk in a sense because you did have Hulk like as a fleshed out character that could actually speak and think, and
Right.
like you had an idea of like what does he want or like what is
Hmm.
his deal rather than mindless rage monster, because it's kind of
Yep.
cool in like an Avengers movie in the background, but
Yeah.
I don't think you can do much with him as a character if that's all it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, even playing like as a kid with my action figures, like I would usually have Hulk, but it would always turn into, and I think this happens in like animated movies, cartoons, comics, where my action figures would defeat the villain, but then Hulk would
Hmm.
go crazy and then they have to defeat the Hulk. So it was like Hulk was always kind of that like next boss level fight for my action figures. And I think
Right.
that's kind of how he gets used a lot in other mediums. Just, I mean, I didn't come up with that myself, I'm sure, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, I think it works out much better when he's got an idea of what's going on and he can kind of further the plot himself without having to just fight everybody.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm very intrigued by this one. I'm excited. I'm sure folks have, this one developed a bit of a following, so I'm sure people have a lot of thoughts and feelings of this one already. Um, no spoilers, please. But
Yeah.
if you do want to follow along with as we read this, Dakota will throw in some links for these books. I think some trades, the omnibuses. Like I said, we're on
Hmm.
Marvel Unlimited. They're all on there. There's 50 issues total, so we've just read like the first 10 so far.
Hmm.
But if folks are interested, we'd love to hear about that, and we could do some continued follow alongs as we kind of get through this series, break down some of the major events, and how we're feeling about that as we move along there.
Yeah.
So feel free to comment with that below, like, share, subscribe, and as always, until next time, stay strong.